AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Welcome to From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers. A podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career, and hosted by Work Defined. Join our AI co-hosts as they dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Let's get your career started.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive, the show where we take a big pile of sources and, well, pull out the crucial nuggets you really need. Today, we're diving into something that sits right at the threshold for pretty much every new graduate. Mastering your first job offer negotiation, you've worked so hard, you got through the interviews, and finally, that first real job offer after college, it's right there in your hands. It's an amazing feeling, right? So validating. And the first urge is often just say yes. Mm-hmm. Slam dunk, job hunt over. Mm-hmm. But then maybe for a lot of us, this little voice kind of creeps in, asking, could there be more here? Am I really getting what I'm worth?
Mm-hmm. The little voice.
Exactly. That apprehension, that whole internal back and forth. It's completely normal. And that's, exactly why we're doing this deep dive. Our mission today, especially for those of you making that big leap from campus life to your career, let's call it from dorms to desks, is to help you turn that initial nervousness into a smart, confident strategy. We really want to make sure you start your professional journey earning what you truly deserve. Set a really strong foundation for your whole financial future. And this deep dive is brought to you with insights from College Recruiter. They're a fantastic partner for this kind of critical early career topic.
Absolutely perfect timing for many listeners, I bet.
Totally. And look, to guide us through this whole negotiation dance, we've pulled together a really, really rich stack of sources. We've got sharp takes from Forbes, a super comprehensive guide from SIRES, that's the Cooperative Institute for Research in Environmental Sciences. Their career stuff is great. We also looked at let's say vibrant Reddit discussion, sometimes brutally honest. Plus, there are groundbreaking findings from an MIT study on something called subjective value, practical tips from Robert Half, and expert advice from College Recruiter themselves, Harvard Business Review, UF Career Connections, Stanford Career Education, and the pay equity firm Trusaic. So yeah, it's a goldmine of info, and we are ready to dig in.
Sounds like a fantastic mix. Let's do it.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The really big question many new grads wrestle with is, why is negotiation so critical?
Yeah.
Especially for your very first job offer. It can feel, incredibly daunting, like you're risking the whole thing just by asking. But the stakes, they're actually way, way higher than you might think at first glance. What's really going on here?
Well, what's absolutely fascinating and honestly often missed is this idea called the compounding effect. Most people, understandably, they think about their first salary just in isolation, just that number on the page. But studies, and Trusaic really highlights this well, they show that even a difference of, say, just $1,000 in your starting salary, that can snowball. We're talking potentially $500,000 or even more lost over a whole career.
$500,000.
Yeah.
Just from that initial $1,000. Wow.
Yeah, it's staggering. And it isn't just about your immediate paycheck. It's the foundation. It sets the calibration for every future raise, every bonus, even how your retirement savings grow over the long haul.
Okay, so break that down. How does that compounding actually work?
Right. So think about it mathematically. Your starting salary isn't just a number, it's like the anchor point, the fundamental reference. Pretty much all the compensation adjustments that come later, whether it's your annual percentage raise or even offers for future jobs, they build directly off that first base number. So if you start low, every, let's say, 3% or 5% raise gets calculated on that smaller base. This creates this cumulative gap, a deficit that just gets wider and wider over time.
I see. Like compound interest, but for your salary.
Exactly like that. Think about investing $50,000 versus $51,000. That first $1,000 difference compounded over 30, 40 years. It becomes a huge amount. Same principle applies here. A 3% raise on $50,000 is $1,500, but a 3% raise on $55,000, that's a $650. Now, that extra $150 might not sound like much in year one, right? But it adds up fast. It influences the next raise and the next and so on. It's a snowball effect.
Okay, that makes perfect sense when you put it like that.
And Trusaic has this really vivid example. Jack and Jill, they're both smart business admin grads, right? Both get entry-level jobs at the same consulting firm, same role. But Jill, maybe she was a bit less confident negotiating, she starts out earning about 19% less than Jack for the exact same work.
19%?
Yeah.
That's significant right from the start.
It is. And here's the kicker.
Yeah.
Even if they both get the same modest 3% raise each year, that initial 19% gap, it doesn't shrink. It widens dramatically.
After just 5 years, the total difference in what they've earned is already pretty big.
Right.
After 20 years, it's a massive chasm. It just clearly shows the huge long-term impact of that first salary number.
Wow. And, if you connect this to broader issues, this compounding effect, it plays a really significant and often unfair role in the gender wage gap. Research from the National Association of Colleges and Employers, consistently shows women, on average, earn about 18% less than men. And tragically, this gap starts right out of college, and it just keeps growing. So actively negotiating that first offer, even if it feels, uncomfortable, it can be a really powerful, crucial step towards pay equity right from the beginning.
That $500,000 potential loss, that really hits home. It just crystallizes the stakes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just pocket money. And I love that point you made. You're not just an interchangeable cog. You're a unique asset bringing specific value. I think it was Harvard Business Review's doc, Tiffany Janano, who echoed this, saying employees are increasingly driving change, recognizing their power. That shift gives you, even as a new grad, maybe more leverage than you think you have.
Absolutely. And if the financial impact isn't enough to convince you, let's think about the emotional and professional costs of not negotiating. There's data from My Perfect Resume.
Yeah.
It paints a pretty stark picture. 71% of U.S. workers rely on a second income source just to get by.
71%. Wow.
Yeah. And 35% need that extra money just for basic living costs, rent, food, student loans. Then there's a report from Zeddy. It found 70% of workers feel disengaged, just not into their jobs because of their current pay. So if you don't negotiate, you risk starting your career underpaid, maybe overworked.
Right.
And that hits your financial stability, sure, but also your job satisfaction, your overall well-being, right from day one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Starting off feeling undervalued isn't exactly motivating.
Exactly. You really deserve a career that, yes, funds your life, but also supports your bigger financial goals and, frankly, your happiness.
Yeah.
That transition from college to your first real job, it should feel like a launch pad, not a treadmill of just scraping by or feeling checked out.
That's incredibly powerful framing. So, okay, if the why is so compelling, we're talking potentially huge sums of money over a career, avoiding feeling disengaged, affirming your value, then what is it that holds so many people back, especially new grads? What are these common fears, these misconceptions that stop us from even trying to negotiate? I bet a lot of listeners are feeling that exact struggle right now.
Oh, absolutely. It's a real internal battle, isn't it?
It really is. The whole idea of negotiating, it can literally make people feel nauseous.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a Pew Research study that found something like 38% of workers feel too uncomfortable to even try negotiating a job offer.
Oh.
And that discomfort, it just gets amplified for new grads, right? You're wondering, do I even have the right, the standing, the leverage to ask for more?
Exactly. And this brings us right into what we could call the new grad dilemma. And it's fascinating because looking at our sources, there's some really conflicting advice out there. If you, say, browse online forums like Reddit, you'll find a lot of people strongly advising against negotiating as a new grad.
Oh, really? What's the thinking there?
Well, the arguments are usually like, you have no leverage yet, no real professional track record. You risk getting the offer pulled, especially if the job market feels tough, horrendous, as some put it. And there's this idea that you just need to stay humble, get your foot in the door, gain experience, prove yourself first. I remember seeing one anecdote from a Reddit user, no offense 214. They offered a candidate $75K, which was within the candidate's stated $70 $80K range. But the candidate countered, pretty aggressively apparently, asking for $85K. And no offense 214 just pulled the offer, moved on.
Ouch. Okay, that's a scary story for someone thinking about negotiating.
It is. Another user, Talk2Thatter, was even more blunt, saying basically, you have nothing to offer as a fresh grad for an entry-level spot. Put in a year or two before you think you have negotiating power. Someone else, Texas Lies One, used that old phrase, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered, implying if you're too greedy, you lose everything. So there's this real fear of seeming greedy or ungrateful.
Okay, so that's one side, the don't rock the boat side. What's the counterpoint?
Right, and this is the crucial part. Other sources, the career experts, places like College Recruiter, Harvard Business Review, Stanford Career Education, they strongly, really strongly advocate for negotiation, even for entry-level roles. Their point is that companies actually expect it. Hiring managers usually have a budget range for a role, and if you don't ask, you are, quite literally, leaving money on the table that they might have been perfectly willing to give you.
So companies expect it, but grads are afraid to do it. That's a big gap.
A huge perception gap. Now, sure, market conditions matter, your specific leverage might vary, but the overwhelming expert advice is negotiation is almost always expected. It's appropriate even when you're making that big step from the dorm to the desk. The real key then isn't if you should negotiate, but how you do it. That's the nuance part, the art form.
That's such a stark contrast, isn't it? You've got the very real fear of the offer vanishing, like in that Reddit story.
Yeah.
And then the expert consensus saying, no, it's expected, go for it. So how do we help our listeners, especially those new grads, navigate that tension? How do you balance being assertive, asking for what you're worth without coming across as, greedy or ungrateful, especially on that first big step?
This is exactly where this concept of subjective value, SV, becomes so incredibly important. It comes from a really groundbreaking MIT study. What this research found is that the subjective value, basically your feelings, your perceptions, your emotions coming out of the negotiation, is actually a stronger predictor of long-term job satisfaction, how happy you are with your pay, and even whether you stick around, stronger than the actual dollar amount you end up with.
Wait, stronger than the actual money. How does that work?
I know it sounds counterintuitive at first, but think about it. Subjective value has 4 key parts. First, your feelings about the instrumental outcome. Did you feel like you got a good, fair deal? Even if it wasn't your absolute top number, did it feel reasonable? Second, your feelings about yourself. Did you feel competent during the process, respected? Or did you feel kind of, steamrolled or like you lost face? Third, your feelings about the negotiation process itself. Was it fair? Transparent, respectful? Or did it feel like a battle, adversarial and frustrating? And finally, your feelings about the relationship between you and the negotiator, the company. Did it build some goodwill? Foster trust? Or did it create tension right from the start? A positive experience across these 4 things. That really helps you get off on the right foot with your new job and employer.
So it's less about winning the maximum dollars and more about the experience of the negotiation itself shaping how you feel long term.
Exactly. And here's the really surprising finding from that MIT study. The actual economic outcomes, the final salary number, the specific concessions, 1, they seem to have no measurable effect on those long-term factors like job satisfaction and turnover. But the subjective value did. Now, let me be super clear. This doesn't mean salary isn't important. Of course it is, for your bills, your goals, everything. But what this research powerfully shows is that the experience of how you got there, how you were treated, how you felt, that deeply shapes how content you are down the road, how committed you feel to the job.
That has huge implications.
Enormous. It means how you negotiate is just as important, maybe even more important, than what you get in pure economic terms. A positive, respectful negotiation where you feel heard and valued. That builds lasting goodwill, boosts job satisfaction, and makes for a much stronger start at the company. And this directly pushes back against one of the job offer negotiation fails that Forbes talks about. They warn against playing the let's get a match game.
Yeah.
Treating the offer like just a commodity, trying to overtly play companies off each other in a bidding war, that can really backfire. It can damage how the employer sees your loyalty, and boom, there goes that crucial subjective value. It's about being assertive, yes, but respectfully so, not aggressive demands.
Wow, okay. That completely flips my usual thinking. The experience matters more long-term than the exact dollar amount. That's a massive perspective shift, especially for someone starting out building those first professional bridges. It's not just about the numbers. It's about feeling respected. So knowing this is so critical, how can we best prepare? How do we set ourselves up to maximize both the economic and that crucial subjective value, ensuring we're starting off right for the long haul?
Great question. It really underscores that preparation is key.
Absolutely. It's clear the negotiation really starts way before you even get an offer, right? It's all about laying that strategic groundwork, getting armed with knowledge and clarity so you feel empowered when the time comes.
Exactly right. There are basically 3 crucial steps in this pre-offer prep phase. First, and this is absolutely foundational, research the market value. You cannot, I repeat, cannot just pull numbers out of thin air or base your hopes on what your friend got 2 years ago. You have to dig in. Research what the role typically pays in your specific industry, your geographical location, and for your level of experience, which for new grads means entry level. And don't just look at one website. Think layers.
Okay, so where should people be looking? What are the good resources?
Yeah, build a toolkit. Start with peer source data sites like Glassdoor, LinkedIn Salary Insights, maybe Indeed Salary Insights. They give you a sense of what others are reporting for similar roles. Then layer on broader industry data. Look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS. They have really comprehensive data. Or the NAHES Salary Calculator Center, which is specifically for new college grads. You can also check specialized guides like their Robert Half Salary Guide if you're in one of the fields they cover. And here's a slightly less obvious one. Even if you're not looking for a government job, checking opm.gov for comparable federal roles can give you a useful benchmark. A really actionable tip here is, be ready to mention your research method. You could say something like, based on my research using sources like Mention a Couple, a typical starting salary for an entry-level X role in the Y region sounds to be between $0 and $1.
So showing you've done your homework.
Exactly, but honestly, beyond websites, often the most effective way to get real context is talking to people. Friends, mentors, professors, recent alumni. College Recruiter actually highlights asking about money during networking. Maybe try something like, I'm exploring roles in industry and doing research on typical compensation. If you're comfortable sharing, what might an entry-level salary range look like for this type of position? It gets you real-world nuance.
Okay, market research is step 1. What's next?
Step 2. Know your financial bottom line. This isn't just about picking a dream salary number. It's about understanding what you actually need to live and meet your basic financial goals. Ask yourself the hard questions. What do I absolutely need each month for rent, food, utilities, student loans? What are my financial goals for the next 1-3 years? Building an emergency fund. Saving for something specific. Investing. The outcome of this is defining your walkaway number, the absolute lowest salary you can realistically accept without being underwater financially.
Right, so grounding it in reality, not just wishful thinking.
Precisely. Let's say rent is $1,200, loan $300, groceries $400, transport $150, plus a $200 buffer. That's $2,250 a month, or $27,000 a year before taxes. Budgeting tools like NerdWallet or Mint can really help you figure this out concretely. It anchors your minimum requirement.
Makes sense. And the third step?
Third crucial step, understand total compensation. Forbes has a great point warning against forgetting the perks. Salary is just one piece of the puzzle. A huge piece, sure, but still just one piece. You need to look at the whole picture. Think about it in categories. Financial staples, base salary, yes, but also any signing bonus, relocation help, potential performance bonuses, stock options, health and security. This is huge. Medical, dental, vision insurance, what are the plans? Deductibles, also life insurance, disability benefits. And crucially, the 401k or retirement plan, is there an employer match? Because that's literally free money.
That 401k match is always a big one to look for.
Always. Then there are work-life enhancers. Paid time off, sick days, holidays, vacation. How much? Any chance of sabbaticals later, flexible schedules, remote or hybrid options, commuting allowances, maybe even gym memberships. And finally, career accelerators. Things like tuition reimbursement for further education, budget for professional development, conferences, certifications, even the equipment they provide, like a laptop or phone allowance. Both UF Career Connections and Robert Half really stress looking beyond just the base number. You have to do a kind of cost-benefit analysis. A slightly lower salary in a cheaper city with amazing benefits, great health insurance, solid 401k match might actually be way better than a higher salary in an expensive city with lousy benefits. Think holistically, always.
They always tell you there's a catch, a compromise, an asterisk. Terms apply. See store for details. May be less than advertised. May vary by mood. Probably. Sprite Zero Sugar? It's different. It's the lemon lime flavored refreshment you want with zero sugar. So, no fast voice? No caveats. Just refreshment. This is Sprite Zero Sugar. Obey your thirst.
Okay, so what does all this preparation mean for you, the listener? It means walking into that negotiation, or even just evaluating the offer, not just with one number stuck in your head, but with this really well-researched, comprehensive view of your value and your needs. Ready for that career launch? This prep work is like your armor, right? Your confidence booster. So what happens next? That moment when the offer finally lands, maybe an email, maybe a phone call.
Yeah, the moment arrives.
You did it. The offer is here. Huge milestone. Definitely pause and celebrate that. But, and this is critical first advice, resist that powerful urge to just blurt out yes immediately. That can be a really crucial mistake, costing you both financially and maybe even impacting your long-term satisfaction.
Exactly. Rule number 1. Never, ever accept a job offer right there on the spot, no matter how thrilled you are. Employers actually expect you to take some time. Usually it's somewhere between, say, 2 to 5 business days to review everything properly. This isn't just being polite, it's strategically necessary. You need that time to really assess if the offer meets all your needs, the ones you figured out in your prep work, and to get your negotiation strategy ready. If you jump the gun, you might miss something important or lose the chance to improve the deal.
Okay, so how do you ask for that time without sounding hesitant or unenthusiastic?
Great question. You can be polite but firm. If it's a phone call, you could say something like, "Thank you so much for the offer. I'm truly excited about the position and the team. Would it be okay if I took a couple of days to review the offer details thoroughly? What time frame works for you for me to get back with a decision?" If it's via email, maybe something like, "Thank you for offering me the position of job title at company name. I'm very enthusiastic about this opportunity and feel confident I can contribute to mention a key priority from the interview. I'd appreciate some time to carefully review the offer. I can get back to you by a suggested date, typically 2 to 5 business days out." It shows you're serious and professional, and it buys you that absolutely invaluable time. Time is power here.
Okay, so you've secured the time. Now, how do you use it effectively? How do you systematically evaluate everything that's on the table to make sure you're making the absolute best choice for your career and, your life?
Right. This is where all that pre-offer homework really comes into play. You need to assess the offer from every single angle. First, review the role and responsibilities again. Does the job itself still seem genuinely interesting, engaging, challenging in a good way? How does it really fit with your longer-term career goals? Try to get super clear on the day-to-day. Who would you report to? What are the specific goals for the first 30 days, 6 months, a year? Both Sires and UF Career Connections emphasize getting this clarity. You need to know what success actually looks like in this job.
So digging deeper than just the job title.
Exactly. Second, revisit your values and preferences. Remember that internal work you did. How well does this offer align with what you find genuinely important? Your values, your priorities, the kind of work environment you thrive in. Do you prefer teamwork or working solo? How critical is work-life balance for you right now? Stanford Career Education reminds us these non-money factors are hugely important for long-term happiness and avoiding burnout.
Yeah, culture, fit, and values alignment are huge. What else?
Third, assess the organization and the industry. Zoom out from just your role. Look at the company's financial health, its growth trajectory. Have there been recent layoffs, big changes? If it's a startup, you need to dig into its funding situation. Who are the investors? How stable does it look? Will you actually have the resources you need to do your job well? Is there budget for professional development? Opportunities to publish or present if that matters in your field? Sires suggest tools like Vault or even Google Finance to get company news and profiles. It's about the bigger picture you're stepping into.
Right, understand the context.
Fourth, and this is where your prep work shines.
Okay.
Evaluate the compensation package again, but now against your detailed market research. Benchmark that base salary offer. Go through all the benefits line by line. Compare it to what your research showed as fair market value. Don't be shy about asking HR to walk you through the benefits package in detail. Understand the health insurance plans, the deductibles, the copays, the 401k match specifics, the vacation policy nuances. Get clarity on every single component. It's a lot, but it's crucial.
Okay, so compare the offer against your research needs list. What if you're juggling multiple offers?
Ah, yes. Managing multiple offers. If you have other offers or even just a strong feeling one is coming soon, you're in a really strong position. Leverage. First step, contact those other companies. Check on your application status. Ask about their decision timeline. Reiterate your enthusiasm for their role too, and politely see if they can speed things up. Competing offers give you significant power. Both Stanford and Forbes advise using this as quiet confidence, not like you're trying to start a bidding war crudely.
So how do you use that leverage strategically, not aggressively?
Good question. If you have a clear first choice, company A, but company B offered more money, you could say something like, "I'm genuinely thrilled with your offer from company A and really see myself on the team. However, I've also received an offer from company B with a base salary of dollar amount higher. company A is truly my preferred choice because I've mentioned specific reasons, team, project, culture. Would you be able to match or perhaps get closer to company B's salary offer? If so, I'm ready to accept.
The key, as Stanford points out, is authenticity. Only say this if you genuinely would be okay taking the other offer if your first choice can't budge. It maintains that subjective value we talked about.
Okay, so once you've done all that evaluation, the role, the values, the company, the full package, maybe leverage other offers, you're finally ready for the actual negotiation conversation itself. This is where the preparation meets practice.
Exactly. Showtime.
This is it, the moment to channel that inner negotiator. But remember, like you said, this isn't about winning a fight. It's about finding that sweet spot, that mutually good agreement, a shared success to kick things off right. Absolutely. So let's break down the when and the how of the actual negotiation chat. First, when do you negotiate? Always wait until you have a formal offer, ideally in writing. Talking numbers too early can sometimes backfire. You also need to have genuinely decided, yes, this overall opportunity is a good fit. You need to understand how your skills help them. And based on your research, you need to feel the offer doesn't quite reflect fair market value. Crucially, you have to be clear in your own head. What's your ideal number? Your acceptable number, your minimum, what benefits are key, and what's your backup plan if they say no?
Okay, timing is key.
Yeah.
What about the how? Like email, phone?
Right, the medium. General rule. Avoid negotiating the main points back and forth over email. Dr. Tiffany Jana at HBR advises aiming for phone, video, or even in person if possible. The goal is to choose the platform where you feel most confident and comfortable. If you're great at structuring thoughts in writing, maybe start the conversation with an email outlining your points, but then suggest moving to a call for the actual discussion. You need that real-time interaction, the ability to hear tone, build rapport. All that feeds into subjective value.
Makes sense. And who should you ideally talk to?
Good point. Who to negotiate with? If you have the option, try to negotiate directly with the hiring manager rather than only the HR recruiter. Why? Because the hiring manager usually has a more direct investment in you specifically joining their team. They understand your value more deeply and often have more flexibility or power to adjust the offer details. Recruiters might be working within stricter guidelines.
Okay, so aim for the hiring manager if possible. Now, how do you actually start that conversation? How do you frame it?
This is absolutely critical for setting a positive tone and maximizing subjective value. Always, always start with genuine gratitude and enthusiasm. Thank them sincerely for the offer. Reiterate your excitement about the role in the company. This builds goodwill right away. Then, pivot smoothly to articulating your value. Drawing from College Recruiter and HBR, a possible script could sound like, "Thank you again so much for the offer. I'm genuinely excited about the opportunity to join the team at company. Based on our talks, I understand you're looking for someone who can really mention 1 to 2 key things they need help with, and I truly believe my experience in your specific relevant skill project and my background in your degree training position me to make a significant contribution right away. Based on my research into similar roles in this market, and considering the value I'm confident I can bring, I was hoping we could discuss the salary. I was targeting a figure closer to your specific target number."
So gratitude, value proposition, then the ask with a specific number. HBR recommends a single number, not a range.
Yes, HBR strongly advises going in with a single specific number, not a range like 60K to 65K. Why? Because it positions you more confidently. It subtly puts the onus on them to justify why they might offer less, rather than letting them anchor to the bottom of your range. It allows you to clearly articulate why you believe you're worth that specific number, backed up, of course, by all that research you did. It shows you know your value precisely.
That's a really strong, confident approach. Lead with thanks, state your value, make a specific ask, backed by research.
Okay.
But what about the things to absolutely avoid during that conversation? The common blunders. We all want to dodge those landmines.
Oh, definitely. Forbes has a good list of common negotiation fails, and avoiding these is just as vital as knowing what to do. The first one they highlight is the classic blunder. Never disclose your previous salary.
Why is that such a big deal?
Because it massively limits your negotiating power. If your last job paid below market rate, telling them that number anchors their offer way down here, regardless of what the current role is actually worth. Your past salary is totally irrelevant to your current market value for this job with these responsibilities at this company. Forbes uses a great metaphor, selling your house. The price isn't based on what you paid for it years ago. It's based on the current market value and any improvements you made. Same idea. Your worth now isn't tied to what you were paid.
Okay, so what do you say if they push for that number?
You politely deflect. Try something like, I'd prefer to focus on the skills and experience I'll bring to this specific role and the value I'm confident I can add to your team. Yeah. If they really press, you can turn it back with a question. I assume there's a salary range already established for this position. I'm wondering what the organization has budgeted for this role. Or maybe you likely have a better sense than I do of what this role is worth to the company. If you could share the range, I'd be happy to let you know if it aligns with my expectations. Keep the focus firmly on your current worth and the market value of this job.
Got it. Deflect and refocus on the current role's value. What's another common fail?
Focusing only on the salary number and forgetting the perks. Forbes calls this out too. Salary isn't the whole story. If you hit a wall on the base salary, maybe they genuinely have a hard cap, then pivot. Negotiate other valuable benefits. These perks can significantly boost your quality of life, your career growth, your overall financial picture, and sometimes they're easier for the employer to grant than more base pay.
Like what kind of perks?
Think about asking for an extra week of vacation time. That's huge for work-life balance. Or confirming flexible work options, maybe guaranteed remote days. A signing bonus can help offset a slightly lower starting salary. You could ask for executive coaching, maybe company stock or options if that's relevant. What about a guaranteed budget for professional development, attending a key conference, getting a certification reimbursed? You could even propose a mid-year performance review specifically tied to a potential raise after, say, 6 months of proving yourself. UF Career Connections suggests if they're hesitant on salary, you could say, okay, I understand the constraint on base salary. Could we perhaps mention a specific benefit like extra vacation or professional development budget instead? It shows flexibility and a holistic view.
Smart. So if salary is stuck, pivot to other valuable things. Any other key things to keep in mind during the talk?
Yes. Remember to be ready to collaborate. This isn't supposed to be a battle, right? It's a mutual agreement. Be open to what they might suggest or offer as alternatives. Know your absolute deal breakers, the things you truly cannot compromise on, but also know what you are willing to accept as alternatives or compromises. That flexibility, combined with your solid research and clear value articulation, helps you reach an outcome where both sides feel good. Aim for that shared success, not just a personal win.
That's such a comprehensive strategy for the conversation itself, turning that potentially nerve-wracking moment into something strategic, collaborative. It really emphasizes preparation and respect as the keys.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm George LaRocque, and I'm looking forward to exploring the critical trends shaping the future of work and technology with you over on the Work Tech podcast. Now, this podcast is a little different. I bring together industry leaders, innovators, and investors, and we go deep into market intelligence that matters to HR pros and tech providers alike. So give the Work Tech podcast a listen here on the Work Defined Podcast Network, and please subscribe if you like it. See you there.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
What happens if, even after all this careful prep and negotiation, you don't get exactly what you hoped for? Or what if things change after you said yes?
Right, the aftermath.
The negotiation part is done. Now you've either got an improved offer or maybe you're sticking with the original. But these next steps are absolutely critical, solidifying the deal, or maybe gracefully stepping away and really thinking about the long-term impact of your decision. This is kind of the final checkpoint before you start that new chapter.
Absolutely crucial final phase. First thing, number 1 priority. Get everything in writing. Once you and the hiring manager have verbally agreed on the final compensation package, especially if changes were made during negotiation, you must ask for an amended offer letter that clearly reflects that final agreement.
Why is that so important? Seems like a formality.
It's way more than a formality. This written documentation needs to spell out the exact salary, any special things like a signing bonus or moving expenses, and a clear job description with the agreed-upon title and responsibilities. This prevents any misunderstandings down the line. It protects you from potential disputes. Oh, I thought we agreed on X. It legally safeguards your agreement. Both Sires and Robert Half stress this emphatically. You might be excited, but remember, this is a business deal.
Okay. So how do you ask for that without sounding, distrustful?
Just be professional and reasonable. You can simply say something like, This is obviously a significant decision for both of us, and just to ensure we're perfectly aligned, I'd be more comfortable if the finalized offer, reflecting our discussion, could be put in writing for me to review before I formally accept. Any good employer will understand and comply. It's standard practice.
Makes sense. Now, what if the negotiation didn't quite go your way? Or what if you get into a sticky situation after maybe giving a verbal yes? Handling acceptance, rejection, and the ethics around all that. It can feel surprisingly tricky for new professionals.
It really can be. Let's walk through a few scenarios. Scenario 1, green light. You negotiated, reached a deal you're happy with, it meets your needs. Great, accept clearly, both verbally and then formally in writing, by whatever deadline they gave you. Sires even offers sample acceptance letters. Be enthusiastic, confirm the signed document is coming. Clean professional closure.
Okay, easy enough. What about a maybe?
Right, the yellow light situation. This is where it's a good fit. You like the company, the role seems great, but maybe the salary or key benefit is still a bit lower than you wanted, even after trying to negotiate. Here, you might consider accepting, but politely inquire about a defined performance-based salary review. Maybe ask about a review in 6 months or 9 months, specifically tied to hitting certain goals or demonstrating your contributions. This gives you a chance to prove your value quickly and potentially boost your compensation relatively soon. You could phrase it like, while the starting salary is a little under my initial target, I am incredibly excited about this role and confident I'll make a strong impact quickly. Would the company be open to discussing a performance-based salary review after the first 6 months? It shows commitment, but keeps your financial goals on the radar.
That's a good middle ground.
Yeah.
And if it's just not right,
The red light. If negotiations didn't bridge the gap, and the final offer just doesn't meet your walkaway number, or fundamentally clashes with your core needs or values, then you have to politely decline. Again, Sires offers templates for decline letters mails. The key is gratitude for their time and the offer and maintaining complete professionalism. Remember, your reputation starts building from day one. You want to leave a positive final impression even when saying no.
Okay, now for the really tricky one Forbes mentioned. Negotiating after you've already said yes.
Ah, yes. The recipe for disaster, as Forbes calls it. And they're right. Once you have formally accepted an offer verbally or in writing, you have made a commitment. You've set expectations. Trying to go back and renegotiate after that point, maybe because another better offer suddenly appeared or you just got cold feet, it makes you look incredibly unreliable, unprofessional, maybe even dishonest. It can seriously jeopardize the job you just accepted before you even start. It damages trust with your new boss, your new team. As Forbes says, you really can't go back. Be absolutely certain before you give that final acceptance.
So acceptance is a binding commitment, essentially.
It really should be treated that way, which leads right into the ethics of accepting and potentially reneging. Once you accept an offer from employer A, your ethical responsibility is to immediately stop interviewing elsewhere. Withdraw your applications from other companies. You've made your choice. Reneging, backing out of an offer you already accepted, is seen as highly unprofessional, according to Stanford Career Education. It can seriously damage your reputation in your field. Especially in specialized industries, people talk. It's a smaller world than you think sometimes, and that negative impression can follow you. It should only be considered in truly rare, unavoidable, extenuating circumstances like a serious family emergency. And even then, consulting a career counselor on how to handle it professionally is wise.
That's a strong point about reputation.
Think about it from the other side, like Sires suggests. How would you feel if an employer offered you a job, you accepted, quit your other search, maybe turned down other offers, and then they called back and said, "Sorry, we found someone better, offer withdrawn"? You'd be furious, right? The same principle of commitment and respect applies both ways.
That's a really powerful reminder about integrity, especially right at the start of your career, which brings us to one last, maybe sometimes uncomfortable, but really powerful part of negotiation. Being willing to actually walk away. It feels like a big move, especially early on, but it says a lot about knowing your worth.
It absolutely does. Harvard Business Review puts it very bluntly. You actually have more power when you walk away. Think about it. If you've done your homework, you've negotiated thoughtfully, respectfully, you clearly understand your value, and the company still can't or won't meet your reasonable needs. Being willing to decline that offer sends a powerful message. It shows you value yourself, you have standards, you're not going to compromise your core requirements just to land any job. This isn't about being arrogant, it's about self-respect and making a choice that truly aligns with your long-term well-being and goals.
And it avoids that scarcity mindset you mentioned.
Exactly. It's so easy, especially as a new grad, to feel like this is my only shot, I have to take it. But you need to resist that scarcity thinking. There are always other companies out there, other opportunities where your skills and potential will be recognized and genuinely valued. Like Dr. Tiffany Jana said, if you feel like these people don't value what you bring, I don't care how much money they give you, you shouldn't go. That first job after college, it should ideally be a place where you feel genuinely appreciated, where your contributions matter, where you're not just getting a paycheck, but you feel truly valued as an asset. That feeling is foundational for sticking around and being happy.
Wow, what an incredibly thorough and honestly empowering deep dive this has been, especially for anyone making that big leap into their professional life. Let's just quickly recap the absolute key takeaways, just to really anchor this crucial info for everyone listening.
Good idea.
Okay, first, don't let nerves paralyze you. Recognize your worth and the huge long-term financial impact of that starting salary. Remember the compounding effect. Second, do your homework. Research market value thoroughly for your role, your location, and look at total compensation, all the perks, not just the salary number. Third, know your bottom line. What do you need financially, both now and for your near-term goals? Define that walkaway number. Fourth, remember negotiation covers the whole package. If salary talks stall, be ready to pivot and negotiate other valuable benefits, vacation, flex time, professional development. Fifth, choose the right way to communicate. Phone, video, ideally. Always lead with gratitude and enthusiasm, then confidently articulate your value, backing up your specific ask with your research. Sixth, always get the final agreed upon offer in writing. Protect yourself, ensure clarity. And finally, maybe the most surprising takeaway. Remember that your subjective experience during the negotiation, how you feel, how you're treated, has a massive lasting impact on your future job satisfaction and career path.
Absolutely. This whole process, it's not just about getting a slightly bigger paycheck right now. It's truly about building a stable, fulfilling foundation for your entire professional and financial future. That first negotiation, it really sets the tone. It teaches you invaluable skills in self-advocacy. It establishes your value from day one. And honestly, it's a skill that will serve you incredibly well for your entire career, impacting not just your bank balance, but your overall satisfaction and engagement at work.
Couldn't agree more. So here's a final thought for everyone to chew on. Considering how profoundly subjective value impacts long-term satisfaction and how critical those first impressions are, how might consciously focusing on creating a positive, respectful, collaborative negotiation process beneficial for both you and the employer actually shift not just your immediate offer, but the whole trajectory of your future career relationships and your professional reputation? Is something really worth thinking about as you prepare to step into that new role. We really encourage you to revisit this information. Definitely check out the resources we mentioned, those salary guides, career center advice, and approach your next job offer negotiation with a whole new level of confidence and clarity. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.
This has been From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers. A podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career. Each episode, we dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Subscribe to this podcast for free now, so you don't miss an episode, and visit www.collegerecruiter.com to find your next great job.